So this is the KWA, KSC or ASG 93R. They're all the same weapon, they all run the same, I think it's System 7 NSR, whatever the bloody hell it's called. And it suffers, I found, after a number of uses, one particular fatal flaw, which is, take a look at the top of the barrel. Focus, you fuck. You can just see that the barrel is being eaten, essentially. One moment. Is being eaten alive by the inside of the slide. You can just see the shiny metal on the inside there. Can't get a little bit too close because otherwise the camera won't focus. But so essentially, because the slide is made of, I think it's magnesium, it's not magnetic at all, so it's certainly not steel, and it's not particularly heavy, but it's yeah, because it's probably made of magnesium, obviously metal, and the barrel is made of plastic. As this makes contact, it eats away at the barrel, and basically means that it won't completely lock into place. It gets caught on the edge and will refuse to fire in some cases, which is rather irritating. So you kind of have to push it back and push it down just to get it loaded again. See how it's flush there? Absolutely no problem. As soon as you cock it back again, a dull thunk, doesn't sit flush. You can see that the protrusion isn't quite as big of an issue. Yeah, rather disappointing, to be honest, just because of the plastic outer barrel. I've got a second one here, which, as you can see, hasn't had nearly as much use. The barrel on that one is perfectly fine, but you can just see some wear marks starting to show, just ever so slightly. And of course this one functions perfectly fine. But yeah, it's rather irritating. Another thing to note, which this one is, other one is just starting to show, if you look at the top of the hammer, just see some metal markings, some shavings, which you would think is normal wear. However, if you look on the bottom of the slide, underneath, there's that little grub screw there. And over time, if you don't put some Loctite or some similar like thread locker on it, it will back out and make it so that when the slide comes forward, let me see if I can just release this gently, because to be fair, for my one it doesn't do it all the time. There we go. So at the moment the thing is down. I hear it sort of like click forward. If I pull it back just over it, there you go. So essentially, where the grub screws come a little bit loose and the hammer rides on the bottom of the slide, it's getting caught on that grub screw, which I will admit in a couple of matches I didn't notice it straight away, and it was only when I come face to face with someone in pretty much point blank range that I fired one shot and the slide locked back and wouldn't go back into battery, which is kind of a problem, obviously. Yeah, so just have to make sure about that as well. So if you've got some irregular wear right on the tip of the hammer, right there, you probably have to screw that little grub screw back in, which is, well, I would say general maintenance, but realistically speaking it shouldn't be general maintenance. It's only if you're taking it down, you're taking all the gubbins out the inside of the slide, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, so 2 points if you get one of these. You might want to get a aluminium outer barrel by Weetech. Wiitech. They do an aluminium outer barrel, also like a threaded barrel with a suppressor and silly shit like that. You can get ones with different muzzle brake patterns, like a diamond shaped muzzle brake if you're into that, but they do basically an exact replacement of this, which is maybe what you want, which would stop it from eating the barrel there. It's really bad. It's really, really bad. You can see even on the top where it's not getting eaten, it's put like a little divot on it as well. Yeah, it's quite bad. It's physically eating the plastic. It's terrible. Yes, but so they do the aluminium outer barrel, but I'm not entirely sure what metal this slide is made of, because it could have the opposite effect, where because the aluminium barrel, I know aluminium's a somewhat, like, it's not the strongest metal, obviously, it's not as strong as steel, but if this slide is a weaker or a softer metal than the aluminium, then it could be that the aluminium barrel will start eating the slide instead, and the slide is far more expensive to replace, I think, possibly. But yeah, so if anyone has an aluminium barrel and has done this upgrade, then I don't know, maybe post in the comments or something to see how you're getting along with it, because I'm not entirely sure how that would fare over time. I don't know what this slide is metal of. I think it's like a magnesium alloy, but yeah. The other thing is, for those of you who don't know whether or not to leave your magazines loaded, I've kept this magazine completely depressed for about a year, maybe a year and a half, a considerable amount of time anyway. I've kept it locked in this position, because obviously these do lock, but I can tell you now, that spring, I mean, I've taken this apart, and kind of fucked with it a couple of times, so as it gets to the top it kind of gets a little bit stuck, unfortunately, but that's my fault. Like, the actual compression of the spring is, where's the other one? As you can see, different magazine. This is basically, it's not brand new obviously, but compared to that you can immediately tell which one's had more use, just from the finish being worn off. But yeah, so the spring on this one is I would say yeah, I'd probably say it's just about as strong. I think this might have a tiny bit more tension to it, but not a lot. Like, just double check that just in case. Yeah, so considering this has been completely depressed for a year, it still holds enough tension that I think it will feed rounds into the barrel with no issues whatsoever. And indeed, this magazine doesn't have any issues. When I was using it about, I don't know, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, it still fed rounds just fine. It's just where I've taken it apart recently, and I can't remember what was it I've done. I think I put something in backwards, or did something or other with this little follower and everything else, so it keeps getting stuck in the middle there, which is kind of annoying, which is why I don't use this magazine anymore. Also, a lot of these magazines seem to leak. Like, I bought, I think, 7 of them, something like that, and obviously the 2 you get with the guns, so it's 9 magazines, and I think 5 of them have it is a very slow leak, but it leaks. Realistically speaking, it shouldn't be leaking. These aren't cheap magazines either, but yeah, so the gas valves on the bottom leak. They're not bad at the top. The tops are perfectly fine. Like, they don't leak here at all or anything. It's literally just the fill valve at the bottom. But yeah, so things to keep in mind when buying a KWA, KSC, ASG, whatever the hell they're branded as, 93R. Plastic barrel, over time, gets completely and utterly eaten by the slide. part of your maintenance will, well, if you don't have any Loctite, that is, will be to make sure that that little grub screw on the bottom of the slide is tightened so it doesn't back out and interfere with the hammer. It will wear the hammer over time as well. And magazine wise, the fill valves on the magazines aren't too reliable, which is somewhat unfortunate, but oh well. Such is the price you pay for such a stylistic choice in firearm. But yeah, that's pretty much it.